You're listening to Lunch with Lloyd
on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to the show. We are live here at Expo 2020, and I've been so looking forward to this next interview coming up. As we love to talk music on the show.
I love it.
It's our favourite subject. And when you get a British composer, musician who sold over 45 million albums around the world, and he can do pretty much everything: produce, arrange, sing. He's the whole thing. Sami Yusuf, what a great pleasure to see you face to face.
Thank you so much. It's so weird hearing about myself that way. It's like you're talking about someone else.
No, we're talking about you, Sami. It's interesting. Composer, musician, producer, arranger, and only thirdly you consider yourself a vocalist. Why is that? I mean, you're kind of the all-round entertainer, aren't you, really?
Thank you so much for the kind words. I mean, my background's always been music, composition.
Yeah.
And singing came about when I was like 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
I sang, and my dad said, "Well, that's really good. You should continue." Okay, thanks. But it's like the way I look at it is, when you look at piano, for example, you've got the contrabass, you've got the double bass, you've got the cellos, you've got the soprano, the different ranges, and all these different instruments as well that are allocated to those ranges, right? And the voice is an instrument. We can call it perhaps the most profound instrument, but it's an instrument. Possibly the most evocative, the most powerful, but it's an instrument.
Yeah.
And we forget that sometimes. So when I compose, my voice is literally an instrument. When I'm producing or arranging or mixing even, it's like, okay, there's a space for that, there's a space for this, and there's a space for
the voice as well.
Yeah.
Talking of instruments, how many do you play? And which do you have one that you really like to compose on?
I would say my voice. I change my favorite instrument changes, with the seasons.
Yeah.
But I would say the voice. But it's different. It's different. Like when you're doing something polyphonic, when it's got harmonies in it.
Yeah.
The piano helps a lot. When it's unison orientated, when it's a strong melodic line, then the voice, the oud. I play the oud.
Right.
I grew up in London, in a place called Ealing, very multicultural. Oddly enough, it's a very, very strange set of things happened, right? For some reason, I wasn't listening to Blur and Oasis. I was listening to, Ravi Shankar and Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan.
I knew you were going to say him. I knew you were going to say him.
It's just really, it's just how it is. There's no specific reason because I'm.
Did you grow up with Bollywood movies?
No, no. It's just my dad's a composer. We come from a musical family, and I love traditional sound. Anything Bach. I listen to Bach. It's so uncool, like going to schools. So what you listen to? I'm like, everyone's like, Guns N' Roses and this and that. I'm like, Bach.
So you were a posh kid. You were a posh kid growing up in Ealing.
I would never say that though, because you get beaten up. in London in school, you would get beaten up.
It was interesting because off air we were talking about how you love Southall and you're in Ealing, and it's a massive multicultural society there. And my parents, when they moved to England, everyone goes to Southall.
Definitely.
So there's a lot of Indians.
Yeah.
So your music, first of all, I have to say, and I've told you this off air, so there's no insult. I didn't even know who you were, and you're a British composer. He's not insulted by it at all, if I'm being honest. But the amount of albums you've sold, and when I listened to your music today and last week when I was listening to it, there's so many sounds that I grew up with, like qawwali, ghazal music. Yeah. So, and you sing that in Urdu. You sing it in different languages.
I try to, yeah.
You sing it better than me.
I don't know about that. But, I grew up loving, feeling, and having an affinity to traditional sounds.
Right.
Western classical included.
Yeah.
And later on, as I grew up and I met some teachers, very spiritual people, they said, it's a good sign. That says a lot. I was really, oh, wow, really? And then I studied more and more, and I released an album, became very popular, sold millions of albums, blah, 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 and did another album, and then I took a break, and I studied. I try. I'm still studying. We're all studying. But I kind of delved into the books and just took a break. And then my views on music have kind of evolved. I've evolved with age. I'm 41. I'm not 22, and I released my first album. So, I have a profound respect for traditional music. A profound respect. Profound respect. And then when you study the roots of traditional music, whether it's the classical canon, the Western classical canon, or whether it's the rags of India, or whether it's the different modal systems in West Africa or Japan, you'll find that oftentimes these sounds are connected to the sacred. They didn't come out of a vacuum.
But this is the thing, you talk about sacred. There's a lot of poetic and spirituality within your music. You sound like quite an old soul from a young age. Do you think you are?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say these things in school because you didn't want to get, know.
I want to be cool.
You want to be cool, right? So I keep low and just be very quiet and stuff. But I've always been like this.
Yeah.
Let's have a little clip of your music. This is something called Nasimi.
Right.
Just give me some background.
So I was asked to compose music by the Republic of Azerbaijan to tell the story of ancient Azerbaijan. And I'm ethnically Azerbaijani.
Yeah.
So I was asked to compose music, and it was connected to a UNESCO event. It was the opening ceremony for UNESCO in Baku. And this piece, Imad-ad-Din Nasimi, essentially is possibly the founder of the Azerbaijani language. He's from the way it's spoken today. And he was this incredible mystic, this incredible poet. He wrote in multiple languages. He's a great Azerbaijani poet. And this poem, it's unbelievably profound. He says, I'm the arrow. I'm the bow, I'm the young, I'm the old. I, this sense of I. He's having it. It's an ecstatic utterance that you find in Bulleh Shah, you find in Mawlana, in Rumi, in different, poetry from the Islamic world. So enjoy.
Let's have a clip. Okay, we seem to have a little bit of a problem there with that clip.
I was looking forward to that.
So was I.
There was a drum roll in my head.
Does it start silent? Why didn't you just do it live for us, Sammy?
Oh, it's not that kind of piece. There we go. I'm the four on the flight.
چرخچی
Yeah, very powerful. You can feel the essence of that song, Nasimi from Sami Yusuf. So what are you actually going to be performing for us here at Expo 2020?
We have 60 minutes of brand new content. It's really exciting. The name of the show, I don't like to use the word show, the name of the performance is Beyond the Stars. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a piece called Beyond the Stars. It's the final, it's the finale. And we are exploring, we're telling the story. It's a very audacious and kind of almost arrogant kind of thing to do, but I'm trying to tell the story of the Silk Road in 60 minutes through a musical journey. We have Qawwali, we have some of the most remarkable musicians from China, India, Europe. It's just so much to say. Very eclectic team. We have an entire piece in Latin, a language that's archaic, that's rarely spoken. Even in the churches, in the Catholic Church, rarely spoken. The Pope, I think, doesn't speak it. The current Pope, they do the Mass in Latin, but it's from Hildegard von Bingen, a very incredible female saint from I think she's from the 12th century, and it's in full Latin. So it's a very, very interesting experience. I would recommend it. If not for me, everyone should come for this, for the musicians.
Yeah, and when are your shows? When are they going to be?
22nd and 23rd.
I was thinking, the listeners know that I'm actually a singer-songwriter. I used to be back in the day. I'm looking for a producer. So when you're free after Expo, you've got nothing to do, you know?
My pleasure.
You play a lot of instruments.
Sami Yusuf, it's been an absolute honour to have you with us, and we wish you well for Expo 2020. What are your final thoughts on the Expo grounds here? And
really amazing. I mean, the UAE has turned an otherwise boring thing, right? Because I don't know much about expos. I just know that's mainly trade focused and business.
Yeah.
I mean, they just created this incredible spectacle, right? It's an amazing, the greatest show. I mean, there's so much to do. All the planes are packed. Hotels are packed. It's a really exciting time. And kudos to them and kudos to you. And thank you very much for having me.
And talking of the greatest show, do go see Sami Yusuf. He
yes,
is amazing. We're heading next to the ARN News Centre, where we've got the latest news for you here on Dubai Eye 103.8.
This is Dubai Eye 103.8.